knowing the limits. Now, the next one on the shooting menu is a pretty fun one. Film cameras had what's called multiple exposure. And what that allowed you to do is you could overlap images on top of each other. So you could get multiple bursts of fireworks or just anything. It was a real creative feature in the cameras. Well, when digital came out, that wasn't available initially.
Right.
In the last few generations of digital cameras, you have multiple exposure. The thing that's so much better about digital over film is if I was doing a 3-exposure multiple exposure in film, I had to calculate what my correct exposure was because I'm increasing density here. So my exposure is not going to be correct if I'm leaving it, say, on auto. Well, on this camera, if I activate multiple exposure, I can first off tell it how many shots I want, anywhere from 2 to 10 pictures overlapped on top of each other. We'll try and calculate what your exposure is going to be at 10 stops. Well, the next setting is really cool. It's called auto gain. I tell the camera how many frames I want overlapped. It does the math for me. I go about being creative and capturing the image. It's a real cool feature.
Handy.
I suggest you try it. It's a lot of fun. Now, interval timer shooting, that's a really cool setting as well. If you want to capture a sequence of images over a period of time, rather than having to stand at the camera and either depress your remote release or the shutter release button, you can actually go into the camera and set it to shoot interval shooting. You can tell it how many shots you want, over what length of time, and how long in between each shot. So you can do these really cool time-lapse type of shots. Or folks that are doing things like star trails, that's how they set the camera up to capture a sequence of images, because if you tried to do a multiple hour exposure on here, all you're going to have is noise.
Yeah.
So it's a great means of doing that. If you're interested in that, do a Google search on star trails, and Moose Peterson has an awesome tutorial on that.
The time that I found this to be handy is I actually don't have a remote shutter release. Last time I was home, we wanted to do the family portrait since the whole family was there. So I set this up and did the interval shooting and hit the button and went around and joined the family, and the camera did all the work.
That's
So,
perfect, because otherwise you've got to do the 10-second dash over and
Right.
over to get in the
Right.
shot. And invariably you know who the photographer was, because they're the one that always looks all rattled when they run and get in the picture, if
easy
they even
sweat
make it
and
in
everything.
time.
Yeah.
Well, we've covered the shooting menu now, so we're going to move on, and the next one is the custom setting menus.